Hi guys, tonight we're reacting to Mike David from RedBar, reacting to Tom Segura and his story about ayahuasca. So if you don't know who these guys are, Mike David is a radio guy, radio personality, and Tom Segura is a comedian. Not very funny comedian, but a comedian. He has a podcast also on YouTube. So let's jump into it.
Okay, here he is. And God, these Apple Watches are getting popular now. Everybody's wearing one.
Mike likes talking a little bit too much. Give it a minute, he'll come around.
Might have to switch to a Galaxy.
I mean, look at him, 6 hours, 42 minutes. That's his show. Sometimes for 8 hours. A little bit crazy, but I love Mike. And also, just to say to Mike right now, Mike, don't get mad. I didn't pay a subscription for your RedBar radio, but I'm reacting to it. I'm not ripping you off, okay?
Circle watch from Sam's Club.
All right, let's see what happens.
You know, and they were like, no, this is different than that. This is a shaman.
I had to say that because Mike is really like on it, reporting people who steal his content and stuff, but I'm not stealing, I'm reacting to it, so calm down.
Shaman who has all different types of medicinal things. And you don't have to get involved with the ayahuasca aspect, but the ayahuasca you get here is like, it's there's a reduction in it. You don't do a tea; it's cooked into a chocolate.
Okay, see, this is what worries me. It's cooked into a chocolate now. It used to have to be this long brew that took all day. You face your biggest fears. We've all heard the ayahuasca stories, right? It's like a whole night of crying and going through. Reliving the worst parts of your life and then breaking through on the other side and coming to conclusions and quitting smoking at the end. So it seems to me what's going on is they're taking this fever dream, this fantasy, and shamans are now opening up shops in Austin, Texas, which I don't know why this is legal in Texas. This is what I mean. Go to your officials. Tell them Joe Rogan is bringing in all these lefties. They're opening ayahuasca centers. This is not the Texas you wanted. This is not the Texas you grew up in.
Only the elites can get high.
So the elites are allowed to do mushrooms. Hey, go to the governor's house, do mushrooms and smoke weed and go, Joe Rogan does them on the show. He tells everyone, Joe Rogan and Tom Segura, they're doing ayahuasca, DMT, mushrooms, smoking blunts. This is all illegal in Texas.
Okay, Mike, this is his style of like joking, okay? He's not really saying people go to your congressman and report them or something, but for real, he kind of is right here. It's like these guys are taking drugs publicly on their podcast. Nobody's touching them. While it is illegal, people still get arrested, I guess, in that state for weed, for mushrooms. So it's like we're not the same, you know? We're not the same, all of us. It's like under the law. Some have the right to do it, even publicly, and some don't, you know?
Texas. So why is it legal to them? There's got to be a stir we could cause surrounding this stuff. And again, you really want that state to go blue? Because if it goes blue this year, well, what is the difference?
I mean,
what's the only difference?
Sure.
Joe Rogan could end up getting himself killed because if that state goes blue this year or the next election, they're going to go, well, what changed? Joe Rogan. That's all that changed here in Austin. So if that state goes blue, Joe's fucked. He thinks that everybody's friendly. No. They're only friendly to you because you're the $1 million.
Come on.
Tom Segura is trying to be Joe Rogan. He's doing kettlebells. He's shaving his head. He's doing ayahuasca. He's starting a podcast. He's a stand-up comedian. He's trying to be the richest. That's a lot of copies. I mean, how many little lines of copy do you have to do before you're trying to be someone, before you're obsessed? You know, if there was 7 things I was doing similar to somebody so close to me, you would go, he's copying him. So when is that going to start?
Okay,
you are copying
right,
Rogan. Listen to this creepy story, and it really shows a look into Tom's dark side.
And there also is what is it?
Cheers, guys.
I always forget how to say it. Is it psilocybin?
Mike is a bit of an alcoholic and a stoner, but he's seems to be, you never know with him. He's always like tongue-in-cheek. So, but he seems to be against ayahuasca in general.
Psilocybin and ayahuasca.
Always forget how to say psilocybin. Is it psilocybin? Wow.
So this thing that Tom is describing, so they're not drinking ayahuasca, they cook it till it's reduced, and then they mix it with mushrooms. I'm not sure also. I mean, you'll see what Mike has to say about it. I don't agree with him completely, of course. He's kind of crazy and pretends to be even crazier than he is. But I'm not also a fan of this, how they're doing it there. It's like, you know, you don't know how much ayahuasca is there. And by the description he gave here, Tom, it seems that it's mostly mushrooms, actually, with the title of ayahuasca.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing ayahuasca all alone in a house with a shaman.
Ayahuasca, also separate from some of the other options, and they do they talk to the person, and then with the person they go like, you know, what are you looking for? What is like your intent? What is your motivation for doing this?
And so what did you say? Can you talk about that?
Well, then they also read kind of like who you are. You know, are you like full of anxiety going to? I wasn't full of anxiety, but what I definitely said was that I was like, you know, my only experience of anything, even in this realm, which people would say, well, that's not in this realm, and I understand that, would be like, sometimes I've had edibles that are so powerful, you have like, you know, maybe some profound or feeling profound thoughts, but also
like
accompanied
6 minutes.
Wait, I wanted to hear this.
like anxiety and paranoia.
Yeah.
And I go, I really am not looking for that experience. Like that, and they go,
no one is. I'm not.
and they go,
go,
you'll have none of that. Like none. And I almost,
Okay, that's what makes it fishy to me. So the ayahuasca doctor, you know, ayahuasca is very potent. It's very strong. Crying, diarrhea. I told you about that. Tom Segura goes to the ayahuasca doctor and he goes, so like, I hate the feeling of weed, which is nothing, right, guys? So he hates the paranoia. Every comic, by the way, hates the paranoia that they get from weed because of their dark secrets, right? And what does the ayahuasca doctor tell him? Oh, you'll have none of that. It'll all feel interesting. So you're developing a new drug. It's not ayahuasca. There's something in these chocolates. I don't know what they're mixing, but they've got some concoction. And what they do is they sucker in these clients like Tom Segura.
Well, he could be on the right track with this. I mean, like I said, Mike is overstating everything. You shouldn't take him like really seriously. But it did happen. A lot of shamans and neo-shamans and whoever, they do mix things, and it's been proven, and some people have tested, even in Peru. When you go to Peru, you're not sure you're gonna get really ayahuasca. That's part of the reason why me personally, I don't like none of that. And I'll make a lot of videos about it. One of them, maybe next one, let's say. I'm not making promises, but soon. I'm advocating for ayahuasca to be taken at home. That's the best way, and I believe that's the only proper way. I'll explain everything in another video. For now, let's just stay on that. And I think he's on the right track with this, because you never know what they're gonna put in it. And also, a lot of those shamans are really interested more in money, you know, like, and if you, ayahuasca is not like Mike is explaining here, all vomiting and diarrhea. You can have ayahuasca and not have diarrhea or vomiting. It happens, depends. It's like, in my experience, it's like 30% of times you're gonna vomit and have diarrhea, 30 and 70% of times you won't. But that depends also on person to person. It's very individual. But a lot of shamans, like, I believe, are thinking about how to make it less intense and more enjoyable physically to attract new and more customers. And they are kind of like, let's say, allowed even in tradition. I'm gonna put quotation marks there also, because we'll talk about that more, about tradition of ayahuasca and is there any. So it's kind of allowed. Every shaman has a right to mix his own plants. It's not only those two plants that everybody talks about all the time. No, they put a lot of other plants to make it easier on the stomach, different ideas. But also, it's been found, tested, a lot of ayahuasca shamans, even in Peru, they put cocaine, datura, amphetamines, they even find rohypnol stuff. It's like really, there's a lot of things happening here, especially when you have a celebrity client. You would be maybe more inclined to try to make it more enjoyable for him, especially when he goes like, well, I'm not looking for an experience like paranoia, and make it nice for me. So he's very like motivated, that shaman, to make it nice for him. So he would come. I can just assume how much he paid for that. He has money, has a lot of money, so it's like it wasn't cheap for sure. Let's see what's going on more.
They charge him $1,500. They give him a chocolate.
There, just said $1,500. $1,500 for basically what's a dose of a drug, whatever it is. It's just one dose. And a couple hours with him, like taking care of him in their apartment or a house, so he's not like, like being a shaman for him, being a trip sitter. So being a trip sitter for a couple of hours and giving one dose of a drug, $1,500. I mean, what? People go to Peru for $1,500 for 3 days. You get food and you have a bed and it's like a resort. So just that is worth that money, and then you get also ayahuasca and stuff. But this is like what, in somebody's house, some guy gives you a mixture of some ayahuasca and mushrooms for $1,500.
There's probably just an ecstasy chocolate, because the clients all feel, and you'll hear Tom describe it, they all feel so good and great, and they have no anxiety. So it's probably some Xanax. They've got Xanax in there.
Now Mike is just babbling, who knows what it is. But could be he's right even. I'm with him kind of on this one, that who knows what's there. I mean, Tom himself said it's not actually ayahuasca, what we consider ayahuasca. It's ayahuasca-ish, ayahuasca-like thingy.
Maybe some CB2 or one of that BT2, maybe some ecstasy, maybe some MDMA, but a nice cocktail. And they use the Xanax in that cocktail to make it so that there's no anxiety and no paranoia.
He's mentioning Xanax so much because he's allergic to that. I don't mean really allergic, like mentally allergic to it. Whenever he hears somebody taking Xanax, he blasts off. He's crazy about it. So that's why he's mentioning that's his like least favorite drug or most hated drug for Mike.
And then these guys think they've experienced an ayahuasca journey, which they haven't, because that would be actually hell. Like if you really went and did ayahuasca, you would never go again. So what kind of...
Again, with Mike, you never know how much he's joking, how much he's serious, but he seems to think that ayahuasca is really like nasty experience. You like shit 15 times and vomit all night, and it's like really, you like he said, you don't want to do it again. That's not true. I mean, I did it multiple times. I know it was real because I cooked it myself. So he's not right here, of course, but let's hear him. This is like, let's hear what this is like average Joe alcoholic, what they think about ayahuasca.
kind of business is that? And you probably wouldn't recommend anybody to go because it's so painful and traumatizing and terrifying. So what these shamans just realized is, well, don't give these people ayahuasca. We're scaring away our customers. Let's give them a drug that they're going to want to do again. So I don't even think these people are doing ayahuasca. Seriously, I think they're going there and doing Molly with a guy. All right, let's hear some more here.
I was like, okay.
You can go to like 6 minutes in for when it starts.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah, I do. Hold on, I just got to take one thing. 6 minutes in, and they're going to talk about
actual
I booked a place
to have it take place at. And then they showed up
in Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
in Austin.
They showed up, and we just sat around.
Illegal.
We got nude.
What?
I'm just kidding. So
Jesus Christ.
no, we just had a good conversation.
That's just funny.
I mean, he's a comedian, has to make a joke. He's cracking jokes, Tom. But I made a mistake. I said in his house. I mean, in Shaman's house. But it wasn't. It was in Tom's house. So he invited these guys to his home and paid him $1,500 to eat that. Like Mike's saying, basically, who knows what.
Funniest joke he's ever done. It's his wildest, goofiest joke that you've ever heard from him. It's the most hilarious thing he's ever said. Sorry. Okay, so yes, he rents a house in Austin.
Rental.
No Christina Pete, just him. So imagine this. Imagine doing this yourself.
I didn't watch this myself. I'm watching it first time also now with you.
You've got a wife. Imagine you've got kids and a wife. You pick up the phone and you book an appointment with a complete stranger. You rent a completely strange house to you in Austin, and you meet the stranger in the strange house that you've never been in. You sit on the couch and do ayahuasca with him?
With this, he's right completely. This is one of the biggest complaints that I have about all that jazz about ayahuasca and how people claim that the right way, the only right way is to go to a shaman and then do it with them. Again, I'm going to come back to this topic in many videos, but for now, let's just say that it's like, where's the tradition? If you want to do a traditional way, what's traditional? They used to do it in those villages with their family, with their friends, with people they live all their lives with, very closely. In a small village in Amazon, imagine they see each other shit. They hunt they hunt together, they cook together, they eat together, they sleep together. It's a tight, small community, and then they do it together. Now they call it, it's traditional way, but I sit on a plane and I fly with my jet to Peru, and then I sit with a shaman that first time I saw him in my life, and a bunch of strangers, like 40 sometimes, complete strangers. Some of them don't even speak my language. We don't understand each other. There's a lot of bad English spoken there, and hand signs, and then let's take some really intense, life-changing drug together, and that's somehow like traditional. I'm kind of crazy on that. Like, what? Makes no sense. So I agree with Mike here. Like, it is really a ridiculous proposition that is gonna, like, I'm gonna do it like this. Why do you need that guy? Why do you need that guy? That's what interests me. Why do you need that shaman? So Tom could have bought all of these plants for $40, cook it himself, know what's inside, and do it with his wife at home, in his own house, in his own home. If you have some problems in your life, like psychological issues and this and that, where are those problems? In your life. Where is your life? In your home, with your family. So where you want to solve those problems, there where they are. Not like, I'm going to call this basically dealer. Who is this shaman? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to assume too much, but I will assume. Who cares? I can assume. I assume he's just a guy, some guy that decided now, he's going to be doing this. Cooking ayahuasca in a special way, mixing it with mushrooms to make it more digestible, easier to take. And Mike is right. Who knows what else is in there? And I'm gonna charge $1,500. That's like really good money, Like if he was selling whatever the drug you're selling, other kind, you're not gonna make like 1/10 of that money. And you're gonna have to have 20 customers to make that money. And this is like you come to his house and chill with him a little bit, give him that, and he eats it, and $1,500.
Sounds like a fucking nightmare! You know how scary that would be? Like, do you understand how fucking terrifying? Like, even if some guy said, meet me in my house and crack a beer with me. No. It really sounds...
But he is right, really. He is right here. It's like, imagine, now I'm gonna take my phone and call a complete stranger. Hey, come to my house. I'll pay you even. I will even pay you to come to my house and let's drink a couple of beers together. That would be fucking weird. That would be like really weird. Everybody, including myself, would say, like, what? Who does that? What's the point? Like, why? While with ayahuasca, it somehow, of all psychedelics, ayahuasca suffers the most. Ayahuasca is a victim of this weird, crazy approach to it. Like, we're gonna do it like that. We're not gonna do it like all the other drugs and psychedelics included. Everybody does it like in their own time, in their own way. And nobody's saying for mushrooms, oh, you should like do it like this. You have to call a complete stranger and then do it with him. No. Everybody's saying like, you know, like, okay, strip sitter, that's another thing. Have a friend that knows something or a lot about it to be around. It's good, you know, like, he's not gonna lead you to the psychedelic realms. It's not gonna happen. But to be there to like cut some fruit, bring you water, take care of you, in case you, especially on ayahuasca, in case you start vomiting, so he can bring you the bucket next to the bed so you can vomit in it and, you know, keep you clean, keep your dignity up. It's better. It's like makes for a better experience. But inviting complete stranger to your house, to your life, to your experience, why? What's the point? And it became like a dogma, canon about ayahuasca. That's the only way you have to do it. You have to go really weird about it, you know, like no, anything you consider normal, no, that's out the window. You have to go weird.
Now, horrifying. So, again, it's almost similar to going to a hooker. You know, my thing with a hooker isn't that. So, that to me, more than one.
And stuff.
No, they kind of ask general questions, and I think they also are getting like a read on the person, like to see. And then when we talked about,
I mean, I don't even like making contact with the DoorDash driver. Okay, I can't.
Good thing you haven't had to in about 15 years.
Give me the food, give me the food, give me the food, give me the food, give me the food. Drive, is he gone? You know, so I can imagine two people coming in and they're fucking rubbing me down. Here, take this, just open your mouth. Oh, thank you. Hi, we're strangers. Surrounded house? Very fucking creepy.
you know, what I was excited about doing it for, and they're like, okay, and then they kind of just, they opened this case, and they just were like looking through these labeled things, and they were like, and then they just give you a little thing. Oh, we did a little meditation first. I took one, and then about 30 minutes later, I started to feel like...
A little meditation. Can you say no to that, too? Just give me the drugs, and please, hurry up. There's an extra bedroom for you guys. Lock the door and turn the music up, please. That's creepy. You're meditating with a guy? Like, imagine that. Imagine. Like, really, you're sitting there with these two people meditating? You think this is just a normal thing to do? It's fucking creepy.
A little something happening, and they're like, why don't you go lay down? And they started this playlist.
Why don't you go lay down, they say. See, when somebody this boring...
How could you trust them?
When somebody this boring tells a story, it goes in one ear, one out the other. I'm the only buddy who slowed this down for 2 seconds to go, you rented a house? Everyone else is like, yeah, Tom is telling a story. Is he? What happens when oh my God, look how vicious she looks. Who's she starting to look?
Why don't you go that way? And then I came out, talked to them some more.
Are you still tripping?
Well, it's starting to go up. Like it's starting to.
So wait, so they go.
Is Bert even listening to him? He just said he took it. It's starting to get up. They play some music. Told me, why don't you lay down? Were you still tripping? He just told you this guy Bert is like really.
Oh, hey,
and I haven't taken that chocolate yet. This is something else.
Wait, what?
Oh, you're just doing the introductory course.
Yeah. So then, about an hour later, I feel it more throughout the.
Hour later, sitting with these two guys.
Are they staring at you the whole time?
Now, from Tom, you can't find out anything. Obviously, I mean, he swallowed something before that, what he calls chocolate. So now it's chocolate, that mixture of ayahuasca and mushrooms and who knows what. But before that, they gave him something else. Now that could be that they had reduced, cooked ayahuasca B copy, Banisteriopsis copy, with MAO. How do you pronounce that? I never pronounced that in English, so I have to look it up now. It's MAOI, yeah, inhibitor, MAO inhibitor, which is in Banisteriopsis caapi, the wine itself. So they might have cooked that, so gave him that first. But also an hour is too long. If you drink those things separate, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's enough. Then you drink the plant with the DMT, whichever one.
Are the lights fully on too? Because I've been in some of these rentals. They don't have dimmer switches. You know how many dimmer switches I've had to install?
It talks a little bit too much.
Now, knows I'm doing this drug, 2 strangers. I've been meditating with them for an hour. The lights are fully on. We're in this terrible rental. There's no such thing as a good couch in a rental. You ever been to a rental with a good couch or a good chair? You know, it's always something, ooh, so creepy.
The whole body.
Good?
Good. I feel good. Very warm, very peaceful.
Ew.
And then it starts to get darker because it started at we met up at 4 p.m. So this is now, let's say,
Did you eat a meal before?
I ate light in the morning. That was it. So
Okay.
Did they have fries?
Yeah, they had fries.
Hasn't Bert like?
Did they have sides?
Tommy?
Good?
Good. I feel good. Very warm, very peaceful. And then it starts to get darker because it started at we met up at 4 p.m. So this is now, let's say,
Did you eat a meal before?
I ate light in the morning. That was it.
Just using a hand wipe.
First thing that Bert asks is like, did you eat? Because he likes to eat.
Throw anything up.
Yeah, and I also didn't want to minimize the effect of what I was taking.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And then by
Drink after this.
8 p.m. I was like, whoa, I was rolling. And then I went and I saw them in the other room. I told them, and then I got another dose of what it was originally given to me. And then I went back in that room, and by this time, he had set up one of those just little cheap light show things on the ceiling.
He's bringing his
So,
own
the
light. Can you
room's
bring your
dark,
own lights?
But you seeing like a light, you know what I mean? It's like a $40.
If someone did that, I'd go, I have that one. It's cheap. It's from Amazon. I have that.
This is really embarrassing. Like, why would you do it like that? Why? Do it at home with your wife and kids. Like, do it in normal setting with your family. I mean, this isn't even like a story to brag about. I understand the appeal of going to Peru. At least you can be with your friends a little bit, I was in Peru with a shaman, and then you have a selfie with that guy with feathers and funny robes, and it's at least something. What's this about? Some guy bought a $40 light show and brought it to a stinky rental. Really, I shouldn't judge, but I like judging. I judge this.
Thoughts start just streaming out to you.
Did you cry at all?
A little bit, but it was more about
So you didn't really want to talk about that. Did you cry a little bit? I mean, there's
About what?
a little bit of crying at this house. So you're at the house, 2 strangers, lights on, rental house, and now you're crying with them. And this is just, oh, cool. You were crying during your drugs? This is all legal, by the way. Thank you.
it was like I was accessing all these thoughts in a very clear way, but they weren't accompanied with that panic that I hate. You know, the panic, that weed panic.
So there's no panic. Whatever they gave him has no panic. There's no such thing as psychedelia without panic. I'm sorry. It's part of it. So I believe these shamans. It'd be nice if somebody could get me in touch with this Austin shaman who's doing ayahuasca. I'll call up on the show. I'll pretend I'm a willing patient with millions of dollars. All right, let's hear some more.
I don't know how to describe it, but so I ended up just really enjoying that, and then I went back out there a couple hours later, and they brought up that chocolate that had the
Ayahuasca?
and
So hold on. So this is
So he's 4 hours or more already there. Last time he said they came at 4, it was 8, but then he babbled some more, so it's 5 hours already of what? And then my dog's barking.
you've been tripping now for 4 fucking hours.
yeah.
And you've had fucking and you still haven't done the ayahuasca?
But he wasn't tripping. He didn't even describe tripping. He was feeling good and warm, laying in bed, watching the lights. He didn't even say anything about tripping. Mike is right. Yeah, who knows what they gave him? Because if it was MAOI, if it was that separate, they wouldn't wait for 4 or 5 hours to give it to him. So obviously this didn't have the first thing that they gave him twice. Didn't have anything to do with ayahuasca. Who knows what was it?
Can you imagine if your dad was tripping for 4 or 5 hours without you? I mean, really, how fucking disgusting that would be. To learn that your dad did this and you had no idea. If I found out my dad was even enjoying a smile outside of my family's home, I would call DCFS and tell them that he's gay and he's coming for me.
Right, and then I go, let's fucking dial it up, you know? And so then I ate that, and then
You should
I went to bed around 3, but like at 1, I go outside.
Or I would just cut the line.
Andale, Mike, andale.
Talk today is also
They bringing up this contest. Should everyone like email their and
If Mike sees this, he probably will because he's on it. In his shows, he constantly talks about people ripping his content and this and that. I'm reacting here, but still he's gonna see it. I know he's gonna flip mostly to me skipping part of his big important talk, but I am. Hurry up, Mike.
their screenshots to you or something?
we're gonna come. We'll try to
Hurry
match
up.
my
Manicured, and I go for a walk, and I'm not exaggerating. I walk on this path, and I see a fox, and I'm like, no fucking shit. And then I get closer, and I realize it's not a fox. It's like a little bobcat, right? But I'm just kind of like zoned in, and I go, this would be a crazy way to die right now.
I don't know if there's anything else that
like-
you can
Really
stop
not.
watching this.
I
I mostly thought it was crazy that he allowed people into his home. So
It wasn't his home. It was a rented home.
still,
And
it's
I
his
found it to
home
be
for the weekend.
very crazy.
So there, that's about it. What Mike had to say about Tom Segura's experience. And we might go, if you want, check it out on Bird's channel. I might link it in the description. And I might put even, this episode is free on RedBar. He has a subscription plan. I'm not sure how much is it. But every other episode he makes is free, so this was free. So I'll put links for this and for Bert's podcast, so you can watch it if you want. But to me, it's also interesting. He actually didn't trip. Notice how Tom, when he's describing that, there's no tripping. He's not like he didn't like nothing. Nothing happened. He's describing everything around him. What happened? There's a bobcat. There's this guy. There's the lights. But what he felt, he used like 3 words. He said that he felt good and warm. And that's about it. So yeah, really, this could be that he might be right, Mike, about this one. That it wasn't even ayahuasca at all. They just call it that because it's popular, you know? It's like, it's cool. Ayahuasca is a cool kid. So, cool kid on the block, so everybody wants to be like, oh, I had ayahuasca. And then in this weird way. It's just a way to charge for drugs insane prices. Because if they sold him whatever it was, if they sold it as what it is, then it would probably cost like, I don't know, $50, $100, 50 or 100, right? 200 maybe, who knows what was it, but for sure not 1500, for sure, whatever it was. For 1500 you can buy like drugs for entire party of 20 people to like, you know, get high on whatever. So let's call this entire video like a little intro into my rants about ayahuasca, which I'll make a lot of them on this channel for sure. So that's about it for this video. I hope you liked it at least a little bit, and see you in the next one. Bye guys.